Iron Cross, man-to-man combat on the East Front, 1941-42. Continuing on, just great play, just absolutely great play. So this is third scenario. It lasts for, here, I'll go through my, lasts for 7 turns. It's called Closing the Ring. This is the German player turn of the second game turn. It is phase 6. In phase 6, I look on my turn summary. Turn 6 is right here. Moving fire. These are the steps I'm going to be looking at. All the units marked with a tan or brown, I guess I'll say brown, numbered marker, they've all moved, and that's the phase they moved in. Any unit marked with the red numbers have fired, so this unit has fired in the previous second phase, which, by the way, I think all... Oh, no, wait. I was about to say that once you get to more than 3 phases beyond what phase is indicated there, you can remove them. That's actually not true. Because during this player turn, I want to know, not only do I want to know which phase they fired in for observation purposes, actually for determining observation die roll modifiers, for other rules like we're about to look at, I want to know whether the unit has fired in the player turn at all. So much for that. So it's not just 3, or I should say, it's not just 4 phases after these numbers, the markers can come off. I want to know if they've moved in the turn, and I want to know if they've already fired in the turn for other rules. Okay. So this is, I could say a ton about the game, how absolutely great it is. Man, these designers, they struck gold. And I should say Roger Damon, I believe, is, I mean, Sprock, Mr. Sprock was really behind Iron Cross, but Roger Damon, I think, is behind, well, it's my impression, Roger Damon is behind the original, the original combat design. Okay, but I'm not going to talk about the game as great as it is. I might, if I have a couple minutes left over at the end. One of the great things about the game is that how easily one can come back in. It's not the ease of coming back in. What it is if it's been a few days since I've played, so I've already acquainted myself with where I'm at in the play. But for me, the question is, if you take a several day break and you come back and you pick up again, are there interesting decisions basically to be made right away? In other words, does the action start up again immediately? And that is what I find. So it being the German, so it's the phasing player, moving phase. Phasing player is the German player. That's marked here. So that tells me it's the German moving fire phase. Just to review, because this turn design for me is not easy. I mean, this is quite a bit. Okay, what do I mean? Real quickly. Again, for a player turn, we're looking at a morale phase, which is just the phasing player. Support fire phase for the phasing player. Movement phase for the phasing player, which includes non-phasing player, opportunity fire. Non-phasing player, reaction movement phase with phasing player, opportunity fire. Phasing player defense, non-phasing player defensive fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, non-phasing player defensive fire phase. Phasing player moving fire phase with. Is there? Oh yeah, moving fire phase, not moving. And then I think both players, phasing player first, assault phase, and then a free phasing player up down state change phase. And this is all one player phase. 2 of these, a player turn, one for each side is a game turn. Okay, that for me is not simple. So let me review moving fire phase again, especially since I do believe I missed the original intent here. So the phasing player, Germans, may attempt to fire any of his normal status unit. Normal status is any unit that is not, for example, this unit is suppressed here. the LMG here, Strum, he is suppressed, that he is not normal state. He is not normal status, so he cannot fire, but any unit that is normal status, that is not suppressed or pinned, can fire. Units, and by units this is all units, any and all units that have already fired in this player turn may not fire in this phase. Then we have infantry and AFE units which have moved may fire but with a penalty. And then crew served weapons that have moved may not fire. Okay, yep, so that's each of the cases there. So it's interesting because when I look here, I'm thinking again, and this is the realism that I don't believe you get when you take this type of game. This is individual unit scale, but this is really up to squad scale. I mean, you have individual soldiers, but they're assigned to a squad, and they should work together as teams and squads anyways. But I know it's not technically a squad unit scale game, it's an individual unit scale, but anyways. Well, I wasn't meaning to do all of this, but what's interesting is that the German player has this moving fire phase, and what I see is that the design is such that I really should, instead of starting up a whole nother fire attack which involves rolling for observation, it makes sense to fire at this unit because they've already fired right there, right there. I know they fired, and since they fired in this, well, actually, let me back up. No, never mind. Nope, I'm not backing up. That unit has fired, which means that there's actually a incentive to try to launch a fire attack against that unit because I'm going to have a benefit in observation, which is exactly what I'm going to do. There's another stack off the screen to the south here, which is the exact same boat. They have fired. They fired in the third fire phase, or the third phase of the turn, where this unit fired in the fifth phase of the turn. So in the previous phase, okay. I can't remember what I was saying, but I think there's an incentive. So I'm going to take Albrecht here. He's a light machine gunner. That's interesting. Okay, let me take this back. All right, I'm going to take Albrecht and he and Boma, the rifleman, together. They're both going to try to fire at that stack, which is in that building, that single hex building. They've already fired. Okay. Okay. So, another thing I clarified is that it does matter which individual unit observed. It's not the hex. Yes, everybody in the hex can take the benefit of the unit that is spotted. But when I have these spotted unit, my little markers from ATS that tell me who's spotted who, this actually does go to a unit. So what I did, because I didn't do that up until now, is I decided, as of right now, wherever I put the marker, basically the unit that the marker is on, I'm just going to say is the unit that did the observation, even though that's not true in every case. But from now on, the spotted marker is going to be on the actual unit that did the spotting, because apparently that does matter. So if the individual that successfully spotted moves away or is eliminated, I think I'm then gonna treat that as having broken the observation link. Okay, that's what I believe. So this is moving fire phase. Germans, I announced the attack. Again, Albrecht and Boma here together, two soldiers. Albrecht has a light machine gun, Boma has a rifle. They're both going to try to fire here. Now, I announced the attack, determine line of sight. It's good, but it's going to go through this one. Here, I'll show it. This hex has a tree in it, which is going to be relevant. I'll just move the hex aside there. This is a hex with a tree in it. That is relevant. That is a factor.